Alright, today it is time for another community video. If you're new here, a community video is where I ask you guys to send me in questions or statements and I answer them right here in a video. These are by far my favorite videos to make, and I'm glad that you guys still take a little bit of time out of your day to send me stuff and watch these videos. So thank you for that. Before we begin, real quick, 5 days from now on Sunday, July 12th, UB is holding their UB Forward event. I'm pretty excited for this event because I'm looking forward to what UB's got in store for us in general, especially since E3 didn't happen this year, but also because I've got my fingers crossed for some For Honor news. For Honor hasn't been confirmed to be at the event. The only things we really know is that Watch Dogs 2 will be free and that they'll be showing off some of their upcoming games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and whatnot, but I'm holding out hope that we'll see something For Honor related. Anyways, if you watch these videos somewhat regularly, I'd really appreciate it if you sub to the channel, as it really helps me out. Now let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Alright, starting things off, we've got Shigoki sends you to Nazi death camps with endless bot wave based game mode where the waves grow increasingly more vast and stronger. Okay, so Horde mode in For Honor. I think I talked about this a long time ago, before arcade was a thing, and again more recently. I think it would be pretty cool. It's always nice to have a fun mode to play with friends without the competitiveness of a PvP experience. I've thought about this a bit more from the last time I talked about it, but I think it'd be really cool to be able to play on maps that we don't get to see that often and also prepare for these waves of enemies, setting things down like traps, maybe give players some sort of economy to spice things up and allow them to buy feats like fire flasks, healing feats, bear traps, stun traps, nail bombs, or maybe a layer of armor or temporary health boost or damage boost, you know, things like that to help them out, or allow them to save up money and place a ballista down for a wave or two. That would probably take a few map changes, but still, I think it'd be a lot of fun. You could add things like bosses from the story mode or the Guardian from Breach, you know, to spice things up. And if the XP gain was comparable to Dominion or even a little less so, I'd play it all the time. There are plenty of times where I'm in the mood to play For Honor, you know, I want that For Honor experience, but not to take it so seriously as I'm watching a stream in the background or talking with people. And it'd give me a place to rep up heroes I don't want to use against other people because the heroes aren't that good, but I like their fashion. So yeah, the more I talk about it and think about it, the more fun I think this could be and the more I want it. Next up, Soul Crushing says Second Wind is too much of a get out of jail free card. I've had a lot of fights stalled or even turned around because me or my opponent would just mash the Second Wind feat to instantly get enough health to tank a killing blow and still have health left over. Do you think that making the feat activate slower would make it less of an annoying stall tool mid-fight, but could still be a good feat if you or your team can help you get some breathing room so you can return to the fight much faster than not having Second Wind? I don't talk about feats too much, but let me tell you, when I saw feats mentioned in their core fight changes post not too long ago, I was really happy because there are a few feats that I think really need to be worked on. I like the idea of feats in general, but I've always felt that they should just aid the player rather than directing the fight, right? They shouldn't dictate or decide the fight. Second Wind has always been a topic of contention as it's just a good healing feat. It cleanses, it's instant, and as you said, it can turn the tides in a fight in an instant. As it is now, I'd like to see it changed. I think a good way to keep it into the game while nerfing it is just to make it heal over time. That way it can't be used to instantly negate a death blow. If you're out of combat and can't get to a point, or if all the points are contested, you'll still get that same effect. If you got teammates to cover you, you'll have time to heal. And maybe if you can avoid being hit, it'll have the same effect, you know, things like that. Brendan Nichols says night map centered around Mount Ignis. What if I told you there is a night map that is right next to Mount Ignis? So close, in fact, that it's ruined the landscape. The map is called Cinder Mill. You've probably played it a few times if you've played any other game mode other than Breach, Duel, or Dominion. But if you're newer and have only played Breach or Dominion, then odds are you don't even know that this map is in the game. It's a really cool map. There's lava flowing and the volcano can be seen in the background. There are also 5 different weather types on this map. I'd be really happy if they could, you know, take this theme and turn it into a Dominion map because everyone plays Dominion. I'd be so happy if any of the other maps in the game could be repurposed into Dominion maps, because we just don't see them anymore, which is a shame because some of the maps that are only in Elimination, Skirmish, and Tribute are really cool and they just aren't seen. They're really unique and add a bit more character to the world. I miss playing on some of the other Samurai maps, like my favorite, Market Town I believe it was called, or Viking Village, or one of my absolute favorite looking maps, the one with the cathedral and the geysers. I really like that map. It doesn't play the best, but it is a treat to look at. At least we get to play it in duels. Michael Padley says, if you be made a clearer combat UI, do you think more people would prefer the game in realistic mode? I already play that way and have since the fight changes testing grounds. Seeing as I have the movesets memorized and the game turning into predictive instead of reactive play, I don't see much of a point in the indicator anymore. I don't think that people would ever really switch to realistic mode or reducing their HUD just because it makes the game more difficult to play. I've seen every attack in this game so many times and still would get crushed without indicators, as there's just so much going on at any given time. In a duel setting, I could see some players willing to make the shift, but not that many. Minimal HUD looks good, but to me doesn't really play good, especially since some attacks that have animations that thrust rather than swing are pretty tough to tell apart sometimes, and in 4s it'd be extremely difficult to defend yourself, as it's much easier to read the indicator than it is to constantly look at 2 or 3 opponents all at once. Now I'm going to lump in an answer to another question about the clarity of the UI in general, and I mean, for the most part it works. You can see what you need to see at a glance throughout the duration of the match. There are still a few places I think it needs some improving, mainly when it comes to pop-ups and animations blocking the fight widget. The revive indicator can obstruct your vision of the stance widget, which can be annoying, and the animation that plays when a team is breaking, you know, that white flash, can block the fight widget. Even when you're unlocking a new feat, the animation can totally get in the way. Just things like that. They're not major or game breaking, but I think it'd be cool if the animations were less intrusive. Deonta says, revenge system is broken. I don't get it until the brink of death, but if I glance at a Valkyrie, she activates Super Saiyan 2 and is ready to go. So I think we've all come across some inconsistencies when it comes to revenge, but when the system itself is working, which in my experience it usually is, I think it's a pretty solid system for the most part. There are a few times where I just don't earn revenge while being attacked by multiple people for some reason, but that's pretty rare. I think what most people chalk up as revenge being broken or inconsistent comes down to them not really knowing exactly how the revenge system works now that it's been changed. They're not aware of how revenge tags work or how to gank an enemy in a way that revenge will not be given to an opponent. They either still believe it's a duel thing, or they think revenge is earned based on how many people are locked onto you, without realizing the tags are applied after they attack you in some way, and aren't aware that the tags ever wear off, and that they're not there for the entire duration of the fight. I think that there are changes that could be made to the revenge system to improve it, like not being able to hold revenge for as long as you currently can. I think that just totally draws out fights for no reason. Nobody wants to attack someone who is holding the revenge, as a revenge pop knockdown punish is generally really punishing, so you're just wasting time trying to bait it out. And there's nothing wrong with revenge being used as a way to stall. That's one of the reasons it exists in the first place, but I think there should be a short, strict time limit until it expires. There are also other things that could be tested, like a visible revenge meter for everyone, but that has its pros and cons, so I'm not really married to that idea just yet. Next up, Freshton says, how do you feel about the heroes of For Honor slowly transitioning from warriors to characters? What with all the unmasking in the year 3 heroes, it feels less and less like there's your warden, it's the warden that you customize differently. I enjoyed the aspect of the game where you can make your own character out of a hero, but as we got more definitive lore for the characters, it feels less like you're playing various elite soldiers and more like an immortal god incapable of death, and the only force able to swing a battle to your side's favor. The fact that new heroes get like 3 names doesn't help, one for female, one for male, and one for the overall hero. TLDR TLDR, I wish we could go back to the masked, ambiguous heroes rather than having lore for the characters. I want lore for the type of soldier they are, not why they killed their parents or whatever. Also give me gender unlocks for all characters. I think that'd be hilarious and great. I like the way you worded this, so I'm actually okay with both approaches. Each approach has their own pros and cons, so you can't really say which one is better overall unless one has clearly much more effort than the other. I am totally okay with the empty vessel approach, the more broad stroke heroes that you can turn into your own, but of course to do that they need to be pretty veiled, and they started off this way, and over time, you know, it turned into what we've got now where they're almost mixing the two together, where if you want, you can have a masked warrior, or you can play with the characters that Yubi created. And again, there's nothing wrong with this. However, when a hero is named for me, I can't really separate them from that name, if that makes any sense. My Black Prior has no skin showing, but they'll always be Urzabet. Even if a hero is totally masked and they have a name, I still view them as whatever name was given to them. Now, if the game had much more customization in terms of the actual armor sets and helmets and maybe facial structures and hair, I doubt anyone would really mind. Maybe if we got another game, create a hero type of thing would remedy this, where you would just build a hero based upon their weapon, and Yubi could still create the characters that they want to create, and everybody would be happy. But for that to happen, the create a hero system would need some really deep customization. But to answer your question, I don't mind too much. I like the heroes that Yubi have created. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. I plan on making a part 2 because every time I make one of these posts, they just get more and more questions and statements, and I'd like to answer more. Again, thank you all for taking a little time out of your day to write something. As always, I do want to know what you guys think, so be sure to talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video. And as always, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like and sub if you're new, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.